Hello and welcome back to the Rope Access and Climbing Podcast, YouTube edition. I'm your host, Mikey Stevenson, and today we're talking about the basics of the bunny ears knot. If this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. So stay tuned. Step into your harness and get ready for a podcast about the vertical world. All right, well, thank you very much everyone for tuning into today's episode. So today we are, like I said before, talking about kind of the basics and diving into the bunny ears knot. This is something that I've received questions about in the past couple months. So let's dive in. All right, so here we have the bunny ears knot in a large Y hang configuration. Now keep in mind that for ease of understanding and keeping things neat and tidy, I'm only using one rope, and due to the fact of my selection here of very large trees, I only have one sling on either side. Now if we were using this in a rope access configuration, we'd basically have to mirror this up and have two slings on each tree and then two working lines here. But for the purpose of this, we're going to stick with one. Now, here we have the double figure eight. This is commonly used for small Y hangs, but we are able to use this in large Y hangs. Now, here I have a large anchor here and a large anchor here. We have a sling, bunch of carabiners on that side, and a sling and carabiner coming down to the central location. And then I got the working line. Now, the nice thing about this knot is I do have the ability here to basically pull on this one strand here. So I'll just loosen this knot off for a second. I can pull on the one strand, and I have the ability to adjust it one way or the other. So here I just brought it over this way. Now if I pull it in again and pull the rope from this leg, okay, that's just what's gonna happen. Feed that out, and I end up over here somewhere. And then just reverse of that, pull the rope from this leg, and then I can offset that knot in this direction. Want to center it where I had it before, kind of work it back and forth, and there we are. So this knot is really nice for that. It's easy to adjust. So say that I'm in a situation where I have a Y hang, but I don't have to fall perfectly in the middle. This knot makes it very easy to adjust side to side. Now, something that I have encountered questions about is where this knot or where this loop is supposed to be located. Is it supposed to be on the top like I have it here? Or is it supposed to be on the bottom? Okay, like that. Now, it looks pretty decent from that side, but if I roll this over, I have this big gap here and it doesn't really look super pretty. Not the end of the world. It's not right or wrong. So that will really come down to personal preference, but it definitely doesn't make it right or wrong. So now, kind of talked about that. When we are talking about strength loss here, just like any knot, we're talking around that 30 to 50% strength loss. Just like anything else, the more rope you have in the knot, the lower it's going to actually reduce the strength. So that's kind of one of those good things. Now, in one orientation that this knot is very well used is in a vertical orientation. So if I have a bolt and then a bolt just directly below it, the bunny ears knot is a very good knot to equalize and do that load transfer concept we always want to talk about and always want to achieve. So those are kind of the basics here. Now, a lot of people wonder about how to tie this up here with the large offset, so I'm gonna dive into that right now. All right, so here we are again, right back at square one. We're gonna create this large Y hang with the bunny ears knot. Now, one reason I'm not a big fan of using a bunny ears knot in a large offset is the amount of rope that it uses. Now, I did this previously here and kind of tied it up, stretched it out, and measured it. It took about 25 to 28 feet of rope. And then the other side where, you know, more traditionally people are going to be using 8s, 9s, and alpines, there they have that configuration took about 17 or 18 feet. So it is a pretty substantial amount of additional rope you will require if you are going to use the bunny ears knot for large Y hangs like this. Myself personally, I tend not to go use this method anything greater than 1.5 meters approximately. So, all right, so how do we tie this? I'm gonna take the tail of the rope, feed that up through my one anchor, come across to my right side anchor here. I'm gonna come down to the rock that I have right here. This is kind of just a benchmark of what I'm gonna be using. All right, from that point, I'm gonna take the middle right here, pull that down to the rock, and then take the left side strand and pull that to the rock. So here, I have about that perfect 90-degree angle. So if I'm looking here, 90-degree right angle, goes about right there, and that's how I'm going to kind of bench mark this. Now, from here, I want to give myself a nice little tail. I'm gonna pinch the rope right here. And from that point, I'm just gonna let go of everything and start pulling without moving this hand. All right, so if you're looking down at the rock here right now, you can see the amount of rope that is essentially in the system. All right, so from this point, that pinched section hasn't moved. I'm gonna add that tail where I had it before, okay? And at this point, this is where I'm gonna start tying my figure 8. So here we are, starting my figure 8. Okay, I'm gonna take my bite of rope, come around. Now, I'm gonna pull that right through. That's where we're starting. Now, I still have all this rope on the ground. I'm just gonna flip this over to make it a little bit more tidy. Okay, and all I'm doing is flipping it over top of this working strand here. Now, I'm gonna basically run my finger through here, keeping it as close to even as I can, just to find that bottom loop. Okay, there's that bottom loop. Now I'm gonna take this bottom loop, put this on top right there, right where I had it before, right over top. And now I wanna pull these bottom strands here. And all I'm gonna do is pull all this slack out. Okay, now here, just gonna pull that nice and snug. And now I have the bunny ears knot and looking pretty nice on both sides. All right, now separate your loops. So there's one loop, there's the other loop, okay? So in my orientation, this is gonna be my left side anchor and this is gonna be my right side anchor. All right, see how close I got. All right, so I'm a little offset here on my left side. Not a big deal like we talked about before. All I need to do is just slide that over. And that's a little bit better. Now, as for distance here in relation to this knot, I am off by about, 4 or 5 inches. So not too bad. All right. So here we are, we have our knot, nice and pretty. All right, so now another big thing people talk about when we're talking about the bunny ears knot, and then kind of comparing it to the 8-9 alpine configuration, is the redundancy of the knot. So like I've shown you here, it's just this one loop here on the knot that allows me to adjust it from one side to the other, which basically is connecting each leg of this knot together, which is good for adjustment, but not so much for redundancy. Now, with that in mind, there have been a number of people all over the world test this concept and test this theory about if this knot fails or if this loop fails, what's going to happen to the remainder there. Now, due to loading this here, unless you actually have this fail inside the knot or in the front side of here, the other leg is completely sound. There's enough friction, enough tension on the knot to not allow it to peel out all the way through and then have a catastrophic failure. Okay, so kind of debunking that concept or that rumor that there is no redundancy based on just friction. It does create its own kind of redundancy inside itself. Unlike the 8 and the alpine configuration or the 9 and the alpine configuration, where by default it has redundancy because you are utilizing 2 independent knots, it's also not something to worry about here. All right, well, thank you very much for checking out today's episode. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that it was helpful for you. If you have any comments about this, please let me know in the comments below. If you like this episode, make sure to hit the like button, as it shows me that you are enjoying this content and you liked exactly what you seen today. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. It's down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Hit the bell for notifications as I put out new content every Sunday. And don't forget to check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time.